Here we are at our 9th video on flowing money with generosity and gratitude. If you haven't watched the first one yet, go watch that and get back up to this point. I'm going to move forward. So we talked in the last video about this valve, right? When we're really grateful and really generous, when lots of money comes in and lots of money goes out, it blesses the planet, blesses the whole planet. We are connected to other people, right? And money is a way that we experience connectedness with others. Money comes to us from others. Money goes out from us to others. Now, with that, part of that is that we that other-mindedness is really important, right? We use this picture to show that what we're doing spiritually and the spiritual frequencies we emanate affect other people, affect the environment, affect what happens to us, affect money. But the thing is that's an important part of this is what other people are doing affects us, okay? So other people's spiritual energy affects our experience. So this comes to the people we live with, the households we're part of, right? We're part of a family or a group of people or like a household or a partnership. We're a part of these bigger groups of people. Maybe we might think of this as being part of a company, right? That's in on money stuff together. And here's the weird part, and this is the reality of it. Just like your energy can affect others, other people's energy can affect you. So, your partner in life or your kids or your parents or your roommates or your coworkers or bosses' energy about money can be affecting your experience with money. And this gets tricky. What do you do with that? Well, one thing that you got to be careful about is pushing things on them they don't want. So one way to solve this is to teach these principles that I'm teaching to those people so they can apply them. And as they apply them, their experience with money will change and they'll emit a different energy towards you and your experience with money will change. And that's great. That works wonderful if they're open to it. But if those people aren't open to that, then trying to push that on them is not virtuous. It hurts your relationships with them. And it doesn't help them change. So if they're not open to it, here's what you can do. Practice it yourself and be an example and wait for them to become open. If you're just practicing it yourself, don't talk about it at all. Just do it. Just stop talking about it. Don't mention it all to them. Just be a good person and get along with them well and help them with dinner and things. Help them with whatever you help them with. Be a good servant to them and focus on having a good relationship and apply these principles by yourself. And eventually what tends to happen is they'll just kind of that energy will affect them and they'll kind of just come around. If the relationship is a worthwhile relationship, they tend to come around eventually. But don't think you need them to come around. Just let it happen. Also, you can do proxy work. So because your energy is connected with their energy, you can, by proxy, do things for them. For example, you can call up the portions of their feelings that are appropriate for you to have up and emotion clear them. You can actually tap their feelings without them knowing about it. You can write and burn their feelings without them knowing about it. As a very quiet, humble servant to them, you can do this to help them. It doesn't force a change on them. It's a proxy thing. And they're deep down inside, somewhere inside their subconscious, they can choose to accept that or not. My experience has been that most people subconsciously do accept it. And they do start changing when you do that for them. Don't tell them you're doing that for them, usually, because unless the situation is just right, because it can feel like you're forcing something on them or something like that. A lot of times, especially if they're not open to this stuff, people don't want to be told you're doing that for them. But if they're open to it, and the setting's just right, you might mention that, and it might help them gain confidence in these principles. Maybe. Be careful with that one. Also, now that's the washing part of it, right? That you can wash out their trauma for them by proxy. By proxy, you can also do the anointing. By proxy, you can create good things for them. So you can do all the experiences I've talked about, like the visualization or the meditation or the money writing. You can imagine yourself as them and be in their body and do this stuff in their body to create a new experience for them. And again, don't tell them about it. Now, beyond that, though, there's some other people we're really connected with that affect our experience with money, and that's our ancestors. Here's a really beautiful artistic kind of family tree, right? We have Anna Stein here, and these are all the people that came from her and the people that came from them, right? This shows a family tree. And this shows how it's connected, right? Each branch of the tree gets life from the other branches, right? This branch here gives life to these branches, and these branches grow leaves that give life to that branch. They're dependent on each other. And we experience the same thing with our ancestors. Spiritually and energetically and in our DNA, we're connected to our ancestors. And if our ancestors had a really negative experience with money or other negative experiences that blocks our experience with money, it's going to make it hard for us to flow money. So it's important for us to process the feelings of our ancestors, to do these washing and anointing processes for our ancestors by proxy. How do you do this? Really simple. You just tap or write and burn as if you were your ancestor. Just say, as you're tapping or as you're writing, just say to yourself, hey, I'd like to feel the feelings of my ancestors. And whatever feelings come up right after that, just run with it and see what happens. It's powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. Give it a try. You can also use all the other techniques to create the anointing for your ancestors too. If you're doing everything I talk about but neglecting the ancestral part, you're missing a big piece of this. Make time for the ancestral part of this. Okay, I want to talk about two paths. Robert Frost has a poem about, the path less taken, right? And he describes two paths, one path that everyone takes and another path that very few people take. And the path that people take, because people don't take it very much, it's like overgrown with branches and stuff like that. It might be a little harder to go on, but it's exciting because it's like new and adventurous, right? One day I read this poem, and then shortly after that I was meditating, and as I was meditating, I was blessed with a visionary experience where I saw these paths. And on one path, I went down one path and I was told, this is the path that all your ancestors have taken. And on this path were a bunch of treasure boxes. And the treasure boxes used to have treasure in them. But my ancestors had already collected all the treasure, and there was no more treasure in the boxes. Then I went back and I went on the other path. And I was told, this is a path that's different than your ancestors took. This is your path that's different than theirs. And none of my ancestors had gone that path before. So on that path, there was lots and lots and lots of treasure, full of, like treasure boxes full of treasure. Here's the thing. As we experience adversity with money, it does help us grow. As we go through hard things and experience poverty and stuff like that, we know the evil so we can know the good. Going through that stuff, that adversity helps us. But here's the thing. Our ancestors have been through it plenty, and you don't need to anymore. You already inherited all the lessons from your ancestors from poverty, and you don't need to have poverty anymore. You can choose to have a different experience. And when you have a different experience, it helps your ancestors learn about what it's like to be rich. Let them learn that. Go for it. As always, I thank our supporters. I thank all of you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.